Hey, I'm Mary Wilson. I own Mary's Mess Management based in the Roanoke Valley. And I have been a client of the Derek Wiley Agency for a little over a year, and they carry my liability and workers' comp insurance. My original reason to talk to Derek was because I needed to switch my business insurance from my previous provider. My business was growing, and so I needed to have a conversation about workers' comp and what that looked like, and I needed somebody to actually educate me on what I was looking at and the money it was going to cost, because I was ignorant to all of it. If I didn't have workers' comp and I didn't have the coverage that I have now, and somebody got hurt on the job physically, I would lose staff, I would lose business, I would have to pay for their medical stuff out of pocket. And so I mean, it could be catastrophic for me, just because of our job. So if someone gets hurt, I'm out staffing, I'm out coverage from the insurance because they got hurt on the job, and I have to pay for it. My previous insurance agent was just like, you need liability insurance because you're a business owner. So it was like, okay, but what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Like, liability, yes, I'm insured, I have a business license, but what does that mean in terms of how do I make a claim? Like, what can I claim? I have no idea what I could claim. Now I know if something happens, whether it's workers' comp or anything, if something breaks, and it's a $5,000 piece of furniture, I have insurance to cover things that break. So what's my deductible? Does this get covered? Things like that. I didn't have that kind of conversation with my previous agents. Derek is very detail oriented and reads through all the policy and truly understands it so that he can break it down into layman's terms for his clients. It was completely 100% different. It was more than a phone call. This is your business. What do you do? With previous agents versus like, I need to truly understand what you're doing and at what level you do it. How much do you lift? How much do you carry? How much are you on your feet? What are the chances of you getting hurt doing X, Y, and Z? I never had that before. He wanted to make sure that there was a plan in place for me to grow, and then what that would look like and potential cost of what that would look like. Because if it's just me, you need to cover insurance for me in the business. But if I have employees, you have to have workers' comp, especially if you have a physical job like our job is. So he asked those questions so that he could make sure that as I grew, the insurance coverage would be there. Just like if anybody owned a building for a different company, and then they grew out of that building space, but the coverage never changed. I needed him to understand that I will grow, the influx and what that will be. And so no matter if tomorrow I hired 4 more people, it would grow with me without having to without the insurance company just saying, well, we kept you at this policy. He would be like, well, we need to make sure everyone's covered, not just you, because you're getting bigger. When I started my business, I had very minimal insurance. But as my business grew, I knew I needed better insurance. I need to be covered better. And as I had employees come on staff, I needed workers' comp insurance. And so the first time that I met with Derek, we had lunch. And he really sat down and just talked to me about why it's important to understand what I do so that he can categorize me better, to make sure that I'm completely covered the way I need to be based on what I do every day. And then once I'm covered, then we need to make sure that my staff is covered. More administrative, and I didn't understand it. I knew I needed it. How I needed it, I wasn't sure. How much I needed, didn't know. And so a lot of that was in that first initial conversation. I appreciated the fact that he sat down at lunch with me and asked me what my day-to-day looks like, what I'm moving, what I'm lifting, how I'm on my feet, what kind of environments I'm working in, so that the classification of insurance could best fit what I do. And so that relationship building and that rapport is super important to me as a business owner, because my business is also based on relationships. So if you're looking for somebody that is relationship based, that you need insurance with, I would go with the Derek Wiley Agency, because they are relationship first. You build that relationship, and those are the people that you need to call in an emergency. When something happens, your insurance agent is going to be there. And while I'm grateful that I haven't had an emergency and needed to call him for something, I know that I could. So that relationship is really important. I think the person that would find the most value working with Derek is a small business owner like myself, that is starting out or has been around for a couple years and is looking to grow. And you need to make sure that you have better coverage. You need to have somebody that's working with you, that is invested in your company and your coverage and to protect you, because something could happen in a split second. And so if you're growing, you don't know how to get coverage, you don't know what coverage you need, you're kind of ignorant to all of that because you just aren't around it and you don't understand it, that is the person that would work great with Derek Wiley's Agency.